Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Lady Z, or Lady Z, I guess it depends where you're from. Visually on the right hand side she looks really cool. She kind of gives me the feels of like, I don't know, something like quite Imperial in, let's say, Star Wars, or you know, something like that. The bad guys. It feels like a baddie. She's holding a sword, but she has got a pistol. She is going to be an alert character. And on the left hand side you can see she's actually kind of like at a desk holding up the sword in front of a crowd. So it looks like she's kind of like, maybe she's a leader? Maybe she's the leader of someone? I'm not really sure. This is actually kind of interesting. She's a brand new character, and we've never seen a Lady Z before, and she is part of a brand new allegiance, as you might have noticed under her name, and we'll check that out in a second. But at level 720, limit break 3, she has got 18,966 attack, 15,472 defense, and 15,472 HP. She is an alert character, considered a controller, mythic character of course, and here is her brand new allegiance. And it is a member of the new old California. So I guess it's kind of like playing into sort of like New York. Is it New York? I'm not actually sure. Was it from Futurama? Someone will probably remember that one, but it's kind of playing into like post-apocalyptic rebirth of California, let's say. Now I'm going to be calling her Lady Z. I know she's Lady Z for us UK peeps, but I'm going to be calling her Lady Z. If we look at her adrenaline rush, it's called Martyrdom. It has got a 55 AP cost, deals 600% damage to up to 2 enemies. This character takes 20,000 bleed damage for 1 turn. This is kind of interesting. We'll have to see how it plays into the rest of her kit. We have seen some characters in the past that like do defense down to themselves or something like that, and it plays into parts of their kit. It's interesting. We'll have to see how it loops in. But you can potentially obviously have a resist mod if you don't want this to happen, or you can have a character in a team with her on and potentially reduce this by like, you know, 80%, so it's basically nothing. So if you don't like it, it's not too big a deal. Okay, so we have got the adrenaline rush up here of Lady Z. I'm going to focus someone who is a strong character on a defense team, makes sense. It is guaranteed to attack the target, and it's RNG on the second target, but we do manage to take out Maggie by the looks of things. Here we do indeed. So there's 2 characters getting taken out, and there's the 20,000 bleed. It is a strange scenario. In this particular team, I would be taken out, but there are other parts of her kit which you probably already noticed some of it, which wouldn't make it as big a deal. But maybe she gets some boosts, some buffs elsewhere. We'll check forward in a moment. But first, we'll check out the upgrades here of the Adrenaline Rush, and you can see at grade 3 it gets a 200% boost, so it goes from 200% to 400%. At limit break 1, it gets a 200% boost, so it goes from 400% to 600%, and it remains 2 enemies the entire time. At limit break 3, the AP cost gets reduced to 55. This is actually pretty decent, because if she has a quick rush, signature move, and sneak peek, you can probably see it already, initial cooldown turn 1, but it is also about the cooldown. It has to be 2 turns. She'll have a natural AP turnaround where she will not need AP on attack on an attack team or a defense team. So, you know, you could swap out, let's say, AP on attack for extra chance to hit crits or more stats, for instance, if you want to have more HP. It's completely up to you. Now, it will check out that signature move. It has got the initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Make a critical attack against an enemy for 100% damage. Up to 2 enemies get daze for 2 turns. I believe this is almost identical, if not actually identical, to Gold Mythic Williams, and this is actually quite nice to be able to control certain, you know, signature moves, first turn controls, you know, Connor, that sort of thing. You do see him on defense teams quite a lot, so that's actually quite nice. The damage isn't that great, but it is a guaranteed crit, and we do have a couple of weapons in the game that can get boosts from actually hitting a crit. And Alert did just get one in season past on the battle pass, so it could potentially work in Lady Z's hands here. And of course, it has actually got the cleanse on that as well. So I don't think that could actually potentially cleanse that bleed, because it's at the beginning of the turn, and bleed procs at the end, so that part of it's not going to be that big a deal. But yeah, that weapon will proc because of the crit, but control will happen regardless. So here we are on the first turn, and we are going to be using that first turn signature move. There are a lot of first turn signature moves on defense teams that are very annoying as well, so this is going to be quite nice. Now it is worth noting, when I use William, the daze doesn't necessarily daze the actual character you target for whatever reason. It just dazes 2 characters on the defense team, and it does seem like it works exactly the same way here on Lady Z from testing. If we do the daze, you can see the characters that got dazed were Maggie and Dr. Stevens down here, but you could potentially just see it as like a finishing move on Lady Z, or I don't know, just some damage. It can potentially daze the character you actually attack though, so it's not consistent when it comes to which characters are going to get dazed. But if you have another character that does the daze, let's say you use William in the same team, it should be 4 characters getting dazed on the first turn, which is, yeah, definitely very powerful. You can see her AP gain is quite nice. She has got 35. That means a basic attack will get her to her rush naturally on the 3rd turn, even without any AP on attack. Now, if I was to attack with Glenn and hit a crit, luckily enough, it's enough to actually get her a 2nd turn natural rush. So there are definitely ways you can get her rush off nice and quick, nice bit of damage, and, well, that bleeds herself. Now looking at the upgrades on the signature move, you can see at grade 2 it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from 2 turns down to 1 turn. At grade 4 it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from 4 turns down to 3 turns. At grade 5 it gets +1 daze target, so it will go from 1 target for 2 turns to 2 targets for 2 turns. And at limit break 2 it gets -1 to the cooldown, so it goes down to 2 turns from 3 turns. This is actually quite important on limit break 2 if you do have like, you know, drawn out attacks. But if you generally win within the first 4 or 5 turns, it isn't going to be a problem, to be honest. It isn't going to be a problem at all. Overall, I think this isn't too bad. Just, you know, blocking some signature moves. And, you know, it's going to be good for challenge run. It's going to be good for potentially even conquest. Potentially every part of the game, honestly. You know, first turn control is nice. But I don't know if alert really needed it. There are other traits that are in dire need of it. For instance, fast. So, yeah, if this was on fast, I'd just say this was absolutely amazing. But on alert, it's just okay, because we have got quite a few characters that have got first turn control there. So now we move on to Lady Z's Mythic Abilities. These are her passive skills, and we're going to try and make sense of this 20,000 bleed. Precision is going to be the first one, and that is because she is a control character. 40% lower resist against this character, and it's a flat percentage reduction. Pretty good. Stay alert. All alert teammates get 30% attack. This is nuts. Obviously, if you have seen Isabel, it's going to work exactly the same way. It will stack with alert attacks weapons as well, because this isn't a buff. This happens on the roster build screen, kind of how like Andre's just increases the base stats. This is going to work exactly the same way. This is really, really good. The next one is Dead Guardian. When this character dies, 100% chance to give one other teammate Guardian Shield. Kind of weird, I guess. It's not really that powerful, honestly. You know, she's got to get taken out for a Guardian Shield. I guess you could potentially just have it anyway, and then have the bleed resist in or the reductions in and not worry about the bleed. But I don't think for that it's worth, you know, her actually being taken out by the bleed. But it's a nice bonus if she does get taken out, I guess. You know, just being focused or whatever. The last one is Guard Down. When this character dies, a single enemy gets -60% defense for 1 turn. So she does get 2 things happen, and they are both guaranteed. But is it worth just keeping that bleed on her so she actually gets completely wrecked? It doesn't seem that way so far. So that bleed is kind of weird to me. It does feel very strange. It's obviously a choice thing. It's up to you whether you want to keep it on there. You know, you could, like I said, go for resists. You could have a character that has the reduction. You've got choices. So I put together a little team here just to show you how the 30% boost works. You can see that every single character is getting a boost from the leader skill of Harper. That's why the text is green on the attack stat. Now, if I go for this last slot and then I put Lady Z in, just keep an eye on Carl's and Shiva's attack stats. They're both going to go up by 30%, and these will multiply with their weapons, with the leader skill, you know, with anything like that. The only thing it doesn't sort of interact with will be the mods. However, once you go onto a stage, it'll be your new base attack, and then if you have an alert attacks weapon, it will then give you an extra percentage increase to your damage based on the weapon there, based on the actual stat you've got. So for instance, a character that gets up to 100,000 on this screen, including the buff that you could potentially get here from Lady Z, would get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 from an alert attacks weapon. Very good potential. Now you can see obviously that Harper and Eva did not get the boost because they are not alert characters. Now we'll take a look at the passive upgrades here, and you can see the first half of Stay Alert, getting 15% attack, is at grade 1. The first half of Precision is at grade 2. And the second half of Stay Alert is at grade 3. So you can get that big alert buff very easily. If you manage to get your hands on one character, you could potentially just have her as a support character in a team, and then boosting like your Shiva up to a big boost of damage. That'll be actually pretty nice. Then next we have Dead Guardian at grade 4, and when this character dies, there's a 50% chance to give one other teammate a Guardian Shield. Guard Down Part 1 at grade 5, and then we get into all the grade 2s. Precision 2, Limit Break 1. Limit Break 2 gives Dead Guardian 2, which is the second 50% for the Guardian Shield. And then Limit Break 3 is the second half of Guard Down, and this is going to give a bigger boost to the defense down. So that's actually going to be pretty nice. Now another part of Lady Z's kit that will obviously keep her up even if she gets taken out by that bleed and so on and so forth is her specialist skill. She has got Halo. This is the second Halo character to come into the game on the specialist. The first time this specialist dies in combat, they revive at 50% max HP at the start of their next turn. So effectively, Lady Z could be taken out by her own bleed and then get revived by specialist skill here, but the buffs and debuffs will still go out on her passives, and then your teammates can potentially get a boost from that. Minus 60% defense is actually just like no joke. That is a huge amount of defense down, because we are starting to get some pretty drastically high numbers, especially if you're coming up against teams like tough characters. Andre in the defense team, you can get like 60 to 80,000 without too much of a problem. It can be absolutely brutal. So that isn't too bad. It's just kind of weird. I will say it's just kind of weird. But Halo is actually a pretty decent specialist skill, and I'm happy to see a second character. But I think this opens up a bit of viability for Lady Z to potentially be used on a defense team, because you're basically making it so that people have to use their, you know, anything that can decap on a character that potentially is not going to be as big a deal on a defense team for you, or just a bit of a frustration. And she's going to boost other characters on the defense team for free, the 30% buff to alert characters. If you do like run Pamela, and then you have a couple of other characters that are alert that actually get boosts from an attack, that's just a free boost. You know, that's actually not too bad. Okay, so we're going to be attacking Lady Z here, and this is just to show you how it works with it when it comes to her, you know, being able to self-revive effectively the first time she gets taken out. We'll take her out, and we'll do a basic attack with Aiko. And you can see she's got Halo, so she's going to come back the next turn. One teammate will get a Guardian Shield. It is completely RNG who that's going to be, but it should be based on HP. Generally goes to the lowest HP character. And then one of my characters should have a 60% defense down, and it is going to be Tyrese. Now, if she's used on a defense team, the defense down isn't that big a deal unless it goes to your damage dealer, and, you know, that can be a big problem. But, you know, they're going to get focused, so yeah, they're in trouble. But if you're using her on an attack team and it lands on someone who's generally going to have decent defense, like probably like 45 to 50,000 plus, then that's going to be a big reduction. It's going to be as if you're attacking, like, I don't know, like a Sandy on a defense team with no defensive weapon. You're just going to be absolutely just melting any character that gets that. Now, Lady Z does have an attached pistol, as much as she seems to be utilizing that sword on the left-hand side quite heavily. Lady Z's Savage military grade pistol. It looks pretty nice. It has 35% attack, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, and in the third slot it has splash damage when attacking, a better chance to attack all enemies adjacent to the target with 120% attack. Now, what's interesting about this is it is a 4-star weapon, and it is generally what you would normally get if you maxed out a 4-star weapon with these upgrades. So you're going to be able to upgrade this to 50% attack instantly. Then you can make it a 5-star weapon, make it a 55% attack, which is the highest it can go. And then you can put 1535 in the last slot. And then in the second slot, because she's a 55 AP character, you could decide on what you want to do there. You could potentially go for HP or defense, or you could go for crit to give her a better chance to crit basic attacks if you really want to do that. It's up to you pretty much. There's not too many options you have for the second slot. You could potentially go for AP on defense, and that way when she is attacked, she's more likely to actually proc her rush on an attack team that's very strange and very rare to kind of utilize, but I guess it could work. So this is Lady Z, and honestly, she has me kind of split. I think she's got some very strange parts of her kit and some very good parts of her kit. That passive just by itself, like the rest of her kit could just be kind of meh, and that alone would make her a pretty good character as a support character in things like Challenge Run or Blitz raid teams. She's going to be built into nuclear level alert teams, in my opinion. But her signature move is quite good. Her signature move is good. There's first turn control in there, so you are getting something out of it. And she has got a very nice specialist skill as well. You know, on an attack team, she'll at least self-revive, so that's not going to be a problem. You know, you're going to have, chance to score more war points, that sort of thing. Her rush is just weird. As much as it hits hard, the 20,000 bleed, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. What I get it. If she gets taken out, she can Halo, and then 2 other things can proc. But it just seems very strange. It just seems very strange. And we're not really used to this in RTS. I don't necessarily mind the character having a negative effect on them from doing something themselves, but it has to make sense with their kit. I don't know what how it could work in this way. Maybe it would be like for every 5,000 bleed, this character gets an attack boost. That would have been decent if it was in the passive. So obviously that's something that probably doesn't exist right now. They'd have to create that, but you see what I'm saying. It's very strange, that 20,000 bleed, but it isn't that big a problem though if you don't like it. Like I said, there's so many characters around right now that have reduction or even cleanses and stuff. It's on you basically if you want to allow that to be a thing. But that is Gold Mythic Lady Z, guys. If you have any thoughts on her or the new old California Allegiance that is going to be coming into the game, let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.